Welcome back to Getting Some Head, baby. I'm here talking with my homeboy Scott Walker. We're just talking a little football, man. Dude, have you ever gone to a game in Baltimore?
I've never been to one in Baltimore. I'm from Atlanta, so I've been to like one Falcons game. But yeah, I do want to get up to the bank up in Baltimore and go to one of those games sometime.
How did the Ravens become your team?
When I started playing football in middle school, I was just always a big fan of their defense and just playing Madden. So I've played like thousands of games of Madden as just playing as Ray Lewis and on the defense, and
Dude,
it's just such a fun defense to play with. And then they just became my team over the years. So
yeah, man, they reminded me a lot, especially the early years. When did they win the Super Bowl? 2000?
they won in I think either 2000 or '01. I think it was 2000. Yeah, it's 2000, and then they won in 2012 when I was like a senior in high school. So that's like the two they've won in the last since 2000.
It was that 2001 team. They really reminded me of the Gangrene Eagles. Early 90s, the Eagles just had like the most vicious fucking defense ever. The offense was dog shit, but they had Randall Cunningham. He was the only star on the offense, and they just
Mm-hmm.
gave him nothing. So the team never really progressed past the first round of the playoffs. They beat New Orleans in I think 91, but they got smoked by Dallas in a divisional round, and that was that. But yeah, that defense reminded me so much of the Gangrene Eagles defense, and it was cool to see. Who do they have? Trent Dilfer at quarterback that and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
won. Yeah,
Trent
Trent
Dilfer. Yeah,
Dilfer. Yeah, and they just that was all defense, baby.
yeah, 100%.
Dude, are you in Atlanta now?
I still go to Atlanta a lot. That's like the closest major city to me when I want to get like real good comedy reps. So I go to Atlanta a lot to do comedy.
Yeah.
I live 2 hours away. I live in Auburn, Alabama right now.
Oh,
But
sick.
I grew up in Atlanta my whole life, so I still got a lot of ties to Atlanta and buddies that live there.
Sick, dude. How long you been doing comedy?
About 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
I started in like May of 2023, so I'm really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. How,
You
how
able to
long
get on?
how long have you been doing comedy?
Oh, dude. I started '03. '03 was like when I finally got on stage. And I was kind of spoiled because like in Philly at the time, like there was just a lot of places to just get up. And there was I guess the major club was a place called the Laugh House, which was like it was mostly like black comedians, but they were always cool. Like if you wanted to come there and just do your thing. And like, it was really trial by fire because there was this group of guys that would sit in the back of the room. And if you were dog shit, like you wouldn't even think about the audience because these black comedians would just be sitting in the back of the room just heckling you the whole
Oh
fucking time.
God.
So, but it was like that was the best possible scenario for just going up early because I assumed that every place was that hard.
Yeah.
So like my first few times were there at the Laugh House, and yeah, I wouldn't change anything, man, because that's in hindsight, like that is an insane situation to subject yourself to just starting out. Um,
Hmm.
and then there were just so many bar shows around Philly, and Helium is like the main club in Philly now, but I don't
Hmm.
think that came around for like another 7, 8 years after that. But now it's mostly people like doing DIY shows, but there's Helium. There's Punchline, which sucks. It's built for music, so it's never really a great experience comedy wise there.
Hmm.
And yeah, aside from that, it's a lot of DIY shows. Are did you do have you been to? I know there's a Helium in Atlanta. Have you done that yet?
Yeah, I did one show there. It was just an open mic that I got on, so I just drove up there and did an open mic. But I know some
I just
people that a lot of my buddies host those shows.
Yeah,
You're coming to, aren't you coming to Helium?
yeah, in November. I think it's
Awesome.
the middle of the month. I'll be there. I'm excited for it. I've never been to Atlanta.
Oh, dude, you'll enjoy it. It's a good vibe. It's also it's like an hour north of Atlanta, so it's in kind of like a
Okay,
suburb area.
okay.
So it's a great area for a club to be.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. Dude, I've always, I don't know, growing up, I grew up before the internet era. So like all I had was like, it was just TV constantly. I would just sit down in front of the TV and just consume as much shit as I could. So a lot of like places that I travel to, I already have like these preconceived notions of what they are because I would just watch all these fucking sporting events and just picture what these cities were like. And
Mm.
Atlanta was always one that I wanted to go to because the Braves started to get good in like the early 90s. And I just remember thinking like, oh my God, I wonder what Atlanta's like. I can't wait to get there, man. And then I have a very specific idea of what it is. So I'm interested to see if that matches up with what I think it is.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like when most people think about Atlanta, they don't think about the Braves. They usually think it's probably ghetto there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
now that there was a at the time like I was a very sweet little boy and I was just like, oh man, I bet everybody's really into the Braves and that's all they talk about. And it's
yeah,
like, yeah, man, it's there's pork battles in fucking gas station parking lots going on with very hot gay dudes.
yeah.
Uh so yeah, I noticed like I checked out your website, man. It's like I mean, you seem like a very successful dude, and I'm always interested in what drives successful people. Can you tell me about the first time where you felt successful?
To be honest, I kind of view success as like a bounce. Um, Sort of like I feel like it's made up of several different things. I feel like it's made up of your health, your mental and physical health, your financial health, and your social health. So growing up, I was always really into like boxing and kickboxing. I was always taking care of my body.
Mhm.
So physically, I was very healthy. And then I went to school and studied accounting, got a good job. So like then I became financially healthy. But then I kind of lacked in like social health. I was kind of like antisocial, just kind of if I had free time, I was either working out or just doing something that like I felt like was an investment of some sorts. So I was lacking kind of my on my social and mental health aspects. But when I started doing comedy, I really just wanted to do comedy because I loved it for so long and I looked up to the art form so much. I never thought I would actually do it because I always felt like that's just not my personality type to get on stage. Like I can be funny with my friends, but I'm not the kind of guy to get in front of a crowd of people. But I fell in love with it. And then one thing I never even thought about was the friends I would make doing comedy. And that's really what's kept me going because
Mhm.
I think I still love comedy and I love doing it, but really just going out and like hanging out with my friends and seeing people I like,
Yeah.
that's 100% just added the social health aspect of my life. So now I feel like I'm successful because like I've covered all my bases now. It's not just like financial. I
Mhm.
feel like you have to look at success as like an all around thing, basically, if that makes sense.
Dude, I'm with you. It took me a while to get to that point too. There was a couple of years ago where I went to a meeting with you know McCusker, right?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan.
Dude, yeah, he's the man. His buddy Wes Rollins is
Oh yeah,
somebody who
I was in the Roma's men's team. I've done a lot
oh
of those.
dude,
Yeah,
dude, he's the man. And like he's
yeah.
somebody that I really feel like gets this and
Mm.
understands that like okay, like there's so many different facets to living a well-rounded life. And it wasn't until like I went and like I met with him and I heard him talk about, just goal setting because to me, going into that goal setting was just about, all right, career and money. And there's, you could be successful in those two things, but be so deficient in all these other areas where it's really, you're just not going to feel anything if you achieve those things. There's no fulfillment in that. And I remember like sitting in his basement and I felt so awkward. And it felt like, even though I was there with mostly people that I'd known for years, it was like Butterly, McCusker, Spud was there, and but I didn't know Wes. So I think that added to how awkward the situation was because like he asked us all to write down goals for the upcoming year in I think there were like 6 or 7 specific areas. And all the areas that you just mentioned were areas that he mentioned for us to set goals in. And I remember thinking like, fuck, like social goals, then it's like, all right, emotional goals, relationship goals. It's like, fuck, I never thought about this shit before. But it wasn't until actually setting those kind of fucking standards that I wanted to meet, for a given year that I feel like things started to really like take shape and I started to feel like some more fulfillment out of life than I had felt previously.
And Wes, I think this was on a Patreon episode of Dad Meet when you had McCusker and Wes on, and Wes was talking about he was like, I actually did the calculations on how Kobe Bryant is statistically a better basketball player than me, which sounds like a funny thing to say, And then he broke down. He was like, but by the time we graduated high school, he had played over 3,000 more basketball games than me. And it's like, that doesn't even include practices and stuff like that. So how am I supposed to be compete with a guy who's competed that much more than me? And like the
Yeah.
universe rewards those who are actively competing and getting better. And I
Yep.
was just like, dude, that's just a genius way to put that. Like, that's
Dude,
amazing.
dude, it's funny you bring up that analogy because, that also like just played a large part in, me thinking like, fuck, like, it's more about like you could be as talented as anybody ever. Like how many like talented guys do you see get drafted into like the fucking NBA or NFL that fizzle out pretty quickly just because that's all it's ever been. Like they're not
Mm-hmm.
putting in those hours that somebody like Kobe Bryant put in, just because like if you're able to pair those two things up, then you're probably going to be able to get results that are extraordinary.
100%. Yeah, that's why whenever there's nights where I'm like, I don't really feel like going out and doing a set right now. I'm just like, that's the nights when it's like the most important to go out and do it. Like even when I don't feel like if even when I'm not in the mood, if I want to get better, I have to be doing as many reps as possible.
Yeah, man. Yeah, one thing that I struggle with in that regard is having that kind of mindset, but applying it to all the different facets that you spoke about.
Hmm.
Because there are times where, like today, I'm trying not to do a lot. Like I feel most comfortable when I feel accomplished and I feel like I'm actively like working towards making one of the things in my life better. But I also know it's beneficial for one day a week to just not, put a lot on the schedule and just try to, I'm going to have to watch college football at some point today, which yeah, it's like yeah, having to watch college football, yeah, big fucking deal, man. But I feel like my default is to just actively engage in work.
Yeah,
So relaxation is difficult for me, but I know that I have to do that shit, you know, just to kind of, for the sake of hitting the reset button.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
then I also know that like as I'm watching the game, I know I'm going to be thinking like, fuck, I could be doing so much work right now and I could get so much done and get a jump on next week. So that shit's really difficult for me. Do you feel like there's one aspect that's more difficult for you than others?
um, I think the I'm trying to get better as a podcaster. I do a podcast, but it's just a solo podcast, which it seems like a schizophrenic thing to do.
No,
Just to sit down in a room and talk by myself.
no, I
Um,
get it.
but one of the main reasons I did it is because I was like, this will help me with stand up, and it 100% has helped me with stand up.
Mhm.
Just practicing sitting down in front of a microphone and following a train of thought, and people have said they're like, you're really good at like being like nonchalantly funny in the moment on the pod, and that actually means a lot to me because I want that to be like something I can do when I start having kids and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I can't go out and do as many like reps as I can right now. Um,
Yeah, dude.
that's one thing that I think is amazing. You have so many podcasts. I mean, you're a family man. You got a lot of stuff to juggle. It's crazy how much stuff you got going on.
I like it that way, man, because there was a long time where I really was just bullshitting. I was just directionless and I was just blowing in the wind. And I feel like there was nothing I could point to where I feel like, oh, I did this thing or this is a thing that I'm working on getting better at. So I don't know when that switch flipped, but when it did, I feel like I've really been fucking trying to gun it, not just for the sake of just feeling accomplished, but I just feel like, I just really enjoy doing all this shit.
Mm,
Nothing makes me happier than waking up and having the ability to just do all these different creative things. And in a large part, it's because I either get to do it with friends or doing stuff like this. Dude, I've since I've been doing these fucking custom episodes, like I don't know that there's any other creative thing that I look forward to doing more because I get a little nervous because like these are, I'm interacting almost entirely with people I've never had a conversation with and I
yeah.
don't know where the conversation's going to go. But the
Yeah.
one thing that I think I love more than anything else is having one-to-one conversation. So like you know, none of this like feels like work, which I think is part of why I'm able to do a lot because I've worked real fucking jobs. Like this shit feels like constant play. I've
Mm,
worked jobs where it's like, I'm on the clock at fucking 7 a.m. and I don't get home till after everybody's in fucking bed. Like,
yeah.
part of why, I feel like I got an endless motor is for that reason because this is all fun.
Yeah, some of this, like you were talking about jobs that you were holding down while you were on perks, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that's a tough grind, dude.
Dude. Yeah, I think the hardest ones were like I worked at an alternative school for kids with behavior issues, and there was like there would become a point, and like I'm not proud of this shit. Like there would become a point where like, all right, 6:30 is when they would all go home. And I knew that if I took a pill at like 5:30, I would time it just right so that motherfucker would hit just as everybody was leaving. And I was like on my way home. So I would be driving home fucked up. Even dude, there were times where like I would be fucked up before, you know, all the students had left class, which is incredibly fucked up.
Yeah,
But part of like I think part of like why I was able to to be so actively addicted to this shit, and hold down those jobs is because, I would set little like fucking benchmarks for myself. Like, all right, if I get to this point, I'm going to reward myself with this little treat. And it
hmm
was, dude, I'm lucky that a lot of things broke my way because there were so many moments where like shit could have, really gone south in a lot of different ways, man. So I feel really lucky to just be at the point where I'm at now.
and I think anyone that has ever struggled with any form of addiction would really. First off, the book is amazing. I think it's the funniest book I've ever read in my
Thanks,
entire
man.
life. But
Thank you.
also, it paints a picture about how like you had a back injury and a doctor prescribed you this medicine. So like you took trusted advice from a doctor who basically gave you a pill form of heroin that got you like it paints the picture of the opioid epidemic of like how just a good hardworking American man could slip into a pill addiction.
Mhm.
And and the way for you to look back on it and like with a sense of humor with all the Facebook posts is a hilarious way to describe it. But it's also, I think, a great example of how just a normal American man can easily fall into addiction just off of an injury and doctor's advice.
Dude, I thank you, dude. I appreciate you saying that. And there was recently I had a conversation with my wife relative to all that, where I want to contact that doctor and just get a copy of my records just to see, exactly how much I was prescribed and, over the course of the 3 years that I was getting fucked up. But I think I have an approximate idea, but I mean, just that was just such an insane time period. And I legitimately, there were like 2 weeks prior to getting my first prescription, I had resigned to walk in the straight and narrow. I had a really bad bender with booze and coke, and I was just like, "That's it. I'm giving all this shit up. I can't continue this. Like, this is just chaos for everybody around me."
Mm-hmm.
And then I hurt my back, and it was just like you said, it was just like, all right, well, probably the one of the most intelligent men that I've ever encountered is telling me that I need this shit, and somebody who's really esteemed, who is a Harvard graduate, a neurosurgeon that graduated from fucking Harvard, is telling me you need these, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna fucking argue with that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like if they keep telling you that you need them too, it's like you're part of it was like, yeah, the addiction, the addictive personality in me, but at the
And
same
you're
time, it's like you're constantly being reinforced with somebody that you're trusting to say, here you go, here you go, here you go. At no point was there ever just like, look, man, you might want to consider some alternative options because this isn't sustainable long term.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, pills really changed my perception of addiction. I mean, even
Yeah.
though like I had been abusing booze and coke for a long time, pills are what really gave me a much different perspective and allowed me to understand how so many people just end up fucked up.
Yeah, pills are weird too because I had an Adderall phase where I was like crushing Adderall, and it just like I was just like an Adderall demon for a 2 year period of my life. Like it consumed like it was more so Adderall than Scott for that period of time,
I get that.
and I kind of regret it. I did have like a couple periods where I was on painkillers and I fucking dropped up. I put some remixes to rap songs on YouTube. I was like, I can rap.
Yeah, yeah. Pills will kind of inspire you, man. That's
Yeah,
something I like to talk about a lot, but like pills kind of did bring out some really good stuff in me.
yeah. It's a good time.
Oh, dude. Yeah,
How
that's
long?
that.
How long have you been doing jujitsu?
Started that in 2017.
Oh, word.
That was like right when I had like my last bender, like not just severe, but like my last one entirely. When I was like committed to getting sober, I was like, I got to do something to occupy my time because like my mind was just fucking all over the place. And there was a place about a half mile from where I lived that I would pass constantly, and I was like, maybe I'll go check that out one day. So I called it, and it was run by this like really intense Brazilian dude, and he's like, yeah, just come in at this time. And the time that he told me to come was for a Muay Thai class. And I was the only person in class like the first couple of days. So it was very awkward. And a lady was teaching it. She was very kind and patient with me. So I was like, all right, well, I might want to keep doing this. But I showed no aptitude for Muay Thai. And Jiu-Jitsu is more of like an older guy's thing. So the
Mm.
guy that ran the school, he's like, yeah, give Jiu-Jitsu a shot. And that was exactly what I needed at the time, which is something that I could obsess over and go to every day. And it made me feel great. It got me in good shape. And I was there for like 2 years where like I trained really hard. And since then, I really dicked around and I was in and out. But since I got here to Austin, I've been going to a place called 10th Planet, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. They get some good people down there.
Yeah, that's kind of reignited my love of what it was.
Are you enjoying Austin?
Dude, I love it so much, man. Have you ever been down here?
I did a 15-minute set at the creek in like July. That was my first time. I was there for like 23 hours. I flew in for the day and I was on some creek show at the creek and then just flew back. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. It reminded me of Nashville with more homeless people.
Yeah, that's one of the few things I don't like about it is like there are some really aggressive homeless people here.
I
Um,
think it's just more so because we're all the comedy clubs are like on Sixth Street, which is like
yeah, it's
kind
all
of
right
where
there.
they congregate.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, the Creek is one of my favorite places though. They've been really good about just letting me get on and just by and large though, it's not just the Creek that there's so many. I'm just used to being around Philly people, and East
Mm,
Coast people are just so harsh and like everything is just black and white. Getting down here and just experiencing I don't know. I feel like the Southern vibe is just, clearly much different and it's much more welcoming than I anticipated it being. And I tried to come in with an open mind because in the back of my mind, I just thought it was going to be like, just everybody's obsessed with Rogan
yeah,
and
it's a
that whole
very
thing.
political. It feels like everyone's fighting for stage time and stuff like that. I
Mm.
kind of felt blessed. Like I never even did an open mic in Austin. I kind of just flew in and got to do a showcase set, and I was like, that's awesome. Because I feel
Yeah, dude.
like if I moved there, I'd be like fighting tooth and nail to get on anywhere, pretty much.
Dude, and the great thing about this place is there's mics at like 3 in the afternoon. So
Mm,
it's like it really is a choose your own adventure. Like yeah, that preconceived notion that I had does exist, but you could also operate outside of that, and there's stage time everywhere. There's a lot of people who are really, their objective is to be acknowledged by Rogan or to get on Kill
yeah.
Tony and become famous through Kill Tony, and it's like, knock yourself out, man.
Mm.
Um,
It's
but
like that in every scene, though. Like if you went into
yeah,
any scene, there's always some sort of political people fighting for whatever. But if you're just there to tell jokes where you can, you'll be fine.
yeah, and that's been my experience so far. Is like I get in, I do like to hang out a little bit, and because I want to get to know people, and I've met, a decent amount of really cool people, and it's just, people come here from so many different places. So I'm always, just, in comedy or outside of comedy, like I like to know like what makes people tick and, what their motivations are, what their goals are. And people are very serious here, which I like because I feel like, it's an iron sharpening iron situation.
Mm.
Um, but I've really had a lot of fulfilling experiences where people here seem to want to be open to seeing other people succeed more so than on the East Coast. Where on the East Coast, it seemed like more people operated as though it was a zero sum game and that your success equals my detriment.
Yeah,
Whereas,
that's a sad way to operate too.
dude, it's fucked, man. And it's
Yeah,
it's really just an empty way of functioning. And there was something, I had been guilty of that too through at various points in my life, especially in comedy. And there was something McCusker said one time that I try to think of anytime. Like there are times where like I get little tinges of like jealousy or just being a little bitch about something. And there's something McCusker said a while back that really stuck with me. And he's like, the pie is infinite. It doesn't, if you're winning, it doesn't mean somebody else is losing. There's enough for everybody in regards to anything you want, whether it's fucking success, happiness, peace, love, whatever you fucking want. There's plenty of it for everybody.
And I feel like, especially with podcasts and everything, the more so you're doing something that you authentically love and believe in, you're gonna find your demographic where like rather than waiting for like a Netflix deal, or like you can only make it with stand up if like Amazon offers you a special or something. You could just start a podcast and like start building a base of
Yeah.
people that really fuck with your shit.
Yeah.
Um, and you, I mean, your podcasts are amazing. I'm a big fan of all your pods.
I appreciate you, dude. Thank you very much. And I agree with you 100% because I had this conversation yesterday with somebody about, I don't know, just success being relative. I if if somebody if somebody who's like a titan in comedy right now, somebody, like Burt Kreischer, Tom Segura, if you compared like the number of downloads and views I get on my shit to theirs, if they looked at my shit, um, it would be hard to conceptualize that like I view myself as a success in comparison to that kind of person and their numbers. But I'm able to have the life that I want now through a group of dedicated people that are just into what I do. And I feel like I've been able to have a lot of just like really solid, supportive people around me that 3 years ago allowed me to quit my fucking day job. So now, I just get to be creative all day. And, it's something that I never would have foreseen, 5, 10 years ago, because I was just always early on. I was thinking like, all right, you had to be on fucking HBO to get ahead. It's like there was a long period of time where, before Matt and Shane really broke, it's like they kind of opened the floodgates for everybody. Before
Mm-hmm.
that, it just seemed like you just had to get acknowledged by the Hollywood gods and just, be given the keys by the gatekeepers, and just that was the only way to make it. Whereas they rewrote things, and when they opened the floodgates, I feel like I owe them a lot, just because not only because like they had me on the show a handful of times, but also you know because of them, they kind of like kind of reconstructed the template that,
Yeah.
that seemed predetermined for so long.
And one thing I do really love about the Phillies, like I love all the scene that's like blossomed out of Philly, like the comedians have come out of there and like moved to Austin and stuff like that. You guys, when you guys all do each other's podcasts, and it seems like you guys are actually friends. Like it's not like this isn't just like comedians helping other comedians, putting them on. You got when you guys are on pods together, it seems like you're actually friends hanging out, which is I think special compared to other scenes.
I think so too, dude. And we genuinely are. Like there was a time, especially before, Tim and I came here to Austin, where I feel like we were having the same people on Dad Meet, every 2 months. Like you could kind of like get an idea of who was going to be on in the near future, just because there was this, as more and more friends like moved away, there was a small collection of guys that we really vibed with and we really enjoyed doing shit with, like the Do Rag guys and Shaner and Jimmy Gillespie, like all these guys. Like I
The the Jim
genuinely,
the Jimmy Gillespie episode that came out recently was so fucking funny, dude. Holy
d-
shit.
dude, he's somebody like I think he's going to be famous one day. Like he is just a fucking freak of nature. I mean, just a fat fucking freak of nature, man, who just has his thing nailed, man. He knows what he's
Yeah.
doing. He's hyper confident. He's just the funniest guy on the fucking planet, man. And I really I think, and he's young too, man. He's not even close to 30 yet. So to be able to
It,
have that kind, and he's getting reps now, a ton of reps. Like he's going out on the road with Casey Rocket.
mm,
So everything is like trending for him in the direction where he could do anything that he wants in comedy. And he's a good person on top of all that too. And it's just so easy to root for somebody that's that like that pure intentioned,
yeah, that's
where he
awesome.
just wants to get better and be funny.
Mm.
Who else do you like?
Um, I'm a huge fan of Matt and Shane and all the guys on Legion of Skanks. I like Rogan too, just because being from like a martial arts background and being into like science and history stuff, it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people say like I'm the Rogan of like our small scene. I'm like, I mean, I guess I'll take that as a compliment.
I mean, there's something for that because, he's incredibly well-rounded, man.
Yeah,
And to be able to, the guy can talk about just about any topic that somebody brings up. He's already, got a fucking database of shit to maintain the conversation with.
yeah. To be able to sit in the room with like some of the smartest people in like all different aspects and not look like a complete moron is
Mhm.
insane. Like I would be asking so many stupid questions, but they'd be like, "You don't really understand physics, do you?" Like, no, not really.
Dude, Dave Smith was here a few weeks ago, and my buddy Cooper, who does videography, he was at the mothership, and he's like, I never been around anybody that intelligent. He's like, I had nothing to offer in the conversation. He's like, I just stood there and watched him speak, and it was just another level of intelligence that I was just completely foreign to me.
Yeah, Dave's been fucking dishing out battles. He's been doing rap battles on politics.
Dude, he's so funny too. I saw him at when Guess was doing those half-hour comedy specials like 2 years ago, I think it was.
Mm.
I went because they just asked like, "Hey, does anybody want free tickets?" And it was just like I was like, "All right." I'd only seen Lewis do stand up once, and I thought he was great. I saw him with Metzger, and I was like, "All right, yeah, I definitely want to go see Lewis's new half hour." And it was him. It was uh, it was him. Fuck, who was the first person? Might have been Colin Turrell, and
Column
then
did one.
yeah, and then Dave Smith was the last guy to go up that night. And I'd never, it had been probably 20 years since I'd seen Dave stand up, and like he blew me away because I know him, just from Legion of Skanks, and I know he's, just one of the premier political minds, like offering like insight on a regular basis on the internet. But dude, it was one of the funniest half hours that I had seen, and he really just blew me away with. I just went in anticipating like really intelligent comedy, but it genuinely just made me laugh for the entire fucking half hour.
Yeah, Dave's a genius. I don't know if Kurt did it that year or the year after, but Kurt's 30 minutes was amazing on
Dude,
out of the specials.
I think my favorite three comedians right now are Butterly, Sam Talent, and Kurt Metzger. Like those three
That's a good
guys,
three.
dude, they just make me laugh more than anybody else. And I feel spoiled. Metzger's down here in Austin, and I get to see him pretty often. And he's just funny. Like somebody, sometimes you see people that are so funny that the second you see them, you start smiling. Like
Mm.
they don't even have to fucking say anything. Like he's one of those people for me where I just know the second he opens his mouth, it's going to be the funniest shit I've heard all night.
He's one of the best writers too, because like there'll be times where I'll see like really good writers perform stand up, and then I'm just like, I just look at my notes app and I'm just like, man, I'm fucking retarded.
Dude, I'm with you, man. Dude, to that point, he did something that I was just like, yeah, like when you see somebody do something where it's just like, there's no way I could come up with that. And those are the guys that I find the funniest. He did something recently where he was doing like a modern version of Abbott and Costello's "Who's on First" routine in regards to non-binary people joining the military now, and he was pointing it at these two guys in the front row, and he was like, yeah, he's like, you're going to be sent over to the Middle East, and he was referring to it as Sandyland, and he's like, you're going to have to explain to your sergeant that you saw your non-binary soldiers get wounded in battle. And he did this whole bit on how that conversation would go, and it was just like, dude, this is so out there that like there's no way I could have ever thought of something like this.
Yeah, I saw in December I saw Mullen at Helium in Atlanta, and he was doing some bit about like people being nervous about this Muslim guy on the plane. And then he was like, wait a minute. I looked at his turban. I was like, wait, no, that guy's a Sikh. They've been at war with the Muslims for hundreds of years. This is actually the person we want on this plane. It's just like the way he put it together. I was like, this is fucking brilliant. I couldn't even think of this.
Dude, his special was one of the funniest that I've ever seen, man.
Oh my god, yeah.
That made me laugh so much, man. It was just, from start to finish, like he nails it. I think he's naturally one of the funniest dudes. But it's so cool to see somebody put it together to have such a tight special, man.
One frustrating thing too is when you see somebody do a bit on a premise that you're just like, how the fuck did I never see that? Like that was just that premise was there and
Mhm.
just right over my head. I didn't even fucking think about it. And it's just like such a it's so frustrating when you see somebody just kill a premise that's just like, I don't even know how I didn't think about that.
Dude, yeah. There's so many times I'm hesitant to watch a lot of comedy just because I don't want to absorb so many other people's ideas because
100%.
I think if you consume too much of that, then there ends up I don't know. There's like a conflation of ideas, and it's like, all right, am I sounding too much like this person, or is this do I, backlog that and then it's inadvertently going to come out and it's just like, oh yeah, well that guy fucking did that. What are you talking about? But with that said, every now and again, like I'll watch something and like, you know, his shit, especially Mullen, where there's just something where it's just like, oh man, that is something that's so good that, and a lot of times it's a simple premise, but like he'll just go in a direction where it's, just totally different than anything that I could have ever come up with, man. And I wish I had thought of that shit.
I try not to watch too much because I don't want like mannerisms or like small things to rub off on me. But I have been trying to work. I'm like I'm a pretty dirty comedian, but I also have been trying to do like clean, and I've got a clean show at the end of this month. So I've just been kind of like working on just clean sets. And last night I watched one of Bargatze's specials just to see kind of like one of the best in clean comedy, just to
Hmm.
see kind of how he operates, just to kind of help get a picture of like what that should look like,
Hmm.
um, but not like stealing his shit or anything.
No, dude, I get it. I think that kind of stuff is like where it is at its most useful.
Mm,
Because when you're trying, not even trying something new, but trying to sharp something, trying to sharpen, you know, try to strengthen a muscle that isn't as strong as it could be yet. I think when you go in looking for something specific as opposed to just viewing it as a consumer, I
yeah,
think then you're more likely to extract what you need to extract from that.
yeah. It's kind of like watching. It's kind of like watching Terrence Crawford boxing and then going hitting the heavy bag a little bit. You know, just to kind of like you want to emulate some of the things that great people are doing, but like in your own way,
Yeah.
technically, I guess.
Yeah. That's been one of the biggest benefits to being down here and being, you know, kind of in deep waters where in Philly, I feel like I could bullshit a lot more. I just kind of like trot out the same jokes because there wasn't as much stage time. So if I got on stage, maybe like, once or twice a week or something, I can get away with that bullshit. But like down here, like everybody's like really, really working different angles on shit. So I feel like you almost got to like throw yourself in the deep waters and fucking start swimming as feverishly as you can, or else you're going to drown. And, and part of that comes in just refining very specific things that you normally wouldn't think about unless you're really like hyper fixated on just getting better in a way that you weren't thinking about before.
Yeah, yeah. I always compare like I feel like joke writing is kind of like it's kind of like a tree that bears fruit, and like sometimes I feel like the fruit are premises, and sometimes I'll rush them down. I can't rush them too long. I kind of let them. Sometimes I need to let them sit on the tree a little bit, and then eventually, when they're ready, some sort of idea will just click and they'll just fall, and
Yeah.
they're ready to be a bit.
I was watching something recently. Do you know the director Robert Rodriguez?
It sounds familiar.
He directed Spy Kids was like I think his most
Oh
popular
yeah, he was on
kids
Rogan.
movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's just really interesting dude. But he was on Tim Ferriss's podcast, and a section that they were discussing was about creativity and pressure that you put on yourself to come up with new ideas and how that can be counterproductive. And he was talking about viewing creativity. He's like, I'm just viewing myself as a vessel through which these ideas just pass through. He's like, they're not originating from me. I'm not putting pressure on myself to create these things, but I'm just being open to the possibility to kind of like bear that fruit. And
Mm,
that kind of like helped like reshape things for me because there's times where I'll sit down and just think like I'm never going to think of another fucking funny thing to say ever again. But that kind of thinking is just so counterproductive to any kind of growth that adopting that mindset, I think is going to be much more beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when like I feel like it's good to have time to, like we were saying, like to rest and recover and kind of like let your brain uh, kind of restart.
Yeah.
But sometimes when I'm being lazy and I'm like, I need to get out of the house, I need to, because like if I'm not living life or experiencing anything, I'm not going to have anything to really reference. Like if I stay home and play PlayStation, I'm not going to have. There's nothing I'm going to be able to pull out of playing PlayStation to turn into a bit. Like
Yeah.
I'm killing time basically.
Yeah, man. Dude, that's I can identify with that shit a lot. There's subjecting myself to life. Like I feel like I'm naturally introverted, and it's difficult for me to really get out there and like talk to people. And my default for a very long time was just, very hermit-like, where I just wanted to be where I wanted to be. I was very insecure and just wanted to be sequestered from the rest of the world. But I think the same way that like I really have to subject myself to life. Otherwise, how interesting am I going to be? And there's times where I still feel like, dude, I haven't said anything interesting in fucking forever. I'm the least interesting guy on the fucking planet. So I think that's where the importance of not only just living, but just also in, consuming different bits of information, because I could be, a slave to habit and just reading from the same news sources, watching the same videos. And it's just like, I just need to subject my brain to something different to at least like entertain different points of view.
Yeah, and I always think it's always going to be more comfortable to stay home and spend time with the wife and all that. But there's always going to be time for that, and I feel like there's
Mhm.
times where I need to be working and thinking. And one thing that I do, it is kind of hard. One thing about being a comedian, uh, a hard thing is being too hard on yourself about stuff. I feel like
Yeah.
because you want to. I'm trying to make like years of progress happen in short periods of time, and I'm like usually hard on myself, like you were saying, like I'm like I haven't said anything like uniquely funny. Like it's hard to come up with a brand new banging joke
Yeah.
on like a weekly basis. But then I look back over like I look at clips or like footage from like a year or 2 years ago. I'm just like, holy crap, I was dog shit back then. Like
Yeah. Same.
looking at progress over time really helps. Be like, okay, no, I am getting better.
Hmm.
It's taking longer than I think, but I can't get too frustrated. That doesn't mean I can be complacent,
Hmm.
but I can acknowledge that I am getting better, even though I'm very frustrated with where I'm at right now. But it's just like a learning process.
How difficult is it for you to give yourself credit that is just?
It's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Because I will always see like I'll always see there's something that I could have done better, which I think is a good thing to have.
Hmm.
Because I don't want to get up and just do like a mediocre set and just be like crushed. No need to tweak anything on that. I'd rather get off and be like, oh, I kind of fucked up the word here. The timing on this was off.
Yeah.
Even if I had like an amazing set, I'm always just like, there was one part in the middle of that I fucked up, and I was like, I wish I could go back and get. And that kind of just lingers with me in my mind.
Hmm.
I think it's better to have that kind of need for perfection. I think a lot of that came from martial arts and stuff like that, because like
Hmm.
those kind of things could be dangerous if you don't fix those.
It is, dude. I think until you actually engage in martial arts, you'll never understand. Like you could see somebody or hear about somebody being a black belt. It's like, and you have an idea of what that is, but then you see like, oh no, there's so many different variations of black belt, and like
Oh
this
yeah.
black belt would not even stand a fucking chance against this black belt. And having that kind of, healthy self-critical nature really serves you in the long run. And there's nobody that I respect in like any given, profession that doesn't have that. You know,
Yeah.
anybody who thinks like I'm the man, I'm fucking killing it at all times, like is probably terrible, and they'll
Mhm.
just never recognize, that they're not what they think they are. But anybody that I've seen in any capacity that really has shown significant strides in what they're doing, they have that self-critical nature.
Yeah, and I think coming from martial arts first and like having that kind of like discipline um has been a huge advantage for me. But one thing that's kind of weird though is I do associate the pre-show nerves of comedy with kind of like the pre-fight nerves. So I kind of feel like sometimes I feel like I'm going up to these like big shows and I'm expecting to feel pain.
Yeah.
But then I get up and like the worst that can happen is like a joke doesn't hit and it's just an awkward. It's awkward for a second. Then maybe I'll get him back with the next joke.
Uh,
But just trying to get over my mind, like I'm not going to get punched in the face. Don't worry, it's going to be all right. But yeah,
yeah, dude, it's I don't think there's anything that's compared to like both of those things. Like going to like a fucking tournament and then still going to like I started comedy over fucking 20 years ago, and I have a show tomorrow night, and I know I'm going to be nervous driving there. And I think that's part of like what still makes it fun is that that shit's never going away
yeah.
because there's always something, there's always going to be different variables at play. And it's like there's going to be the self-imposed variables, but then, there's probably going to be something that I could have never conceived that's going to be present at the show or that it's going to present itself, which is going to change things in a direction that I could have never imagined.
And if you it's good to have that feeling, because if you didn't have that feeling, it means that you don't care, and it
Yeah.
doesn't it means that it doesn't mean anything to you, basically, if you're not worried about how
Yeah.
good it goes. But kind of like fighting, I always feel this way because I was really nervous before I got to the creek, and I just reminded myself, was like, as soon as I touch the mic, it's just going to be flow state. Like
Yeah.
every time, as soon as I
It
grab the
is.
mic, those feelings just leave.
It is. It's
Especially like
so insane.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
dude, there was yeah, man, it's so fucking weird. I feel like there's there's times where like it happens, even as like your name's announced, but then there's other times where it's just like, yeah, as soon as you say like the first word or anything like that, that just all fucking goes away, man. That's
yeah.
to me, there's still some magic like in this.
Oh,
And I
100%.
and I think like when you're fucking doing something, it's easy to believe it, or it's kind of lame to get to a point where it's just like, all right, if I do A and B, I'm going to get C, and that shit just gets so lame so fast. But and it's so I don't know, especially with stand-up comedy, you could write it off, as being like, all right, it could be this or that, and like a lot right now, you know, it's highly politicized and like people can take this stance or this stance, but if you're if you're able to circumvent that shit, like there's still magic in it because it really is, it's nonstop creativity. It's like every set's going to be different, even if you're saying the exact same fucking words two different times, you're
Hmm.
probably going to get two entirely different experiences in that.
Yeah, because you're always going to have a different crowd. It's wild because you could literally say the perfect joke, and 9 times out of 10 it'll work, and then you just walk into like a dog shit ass room, some bar
Yeah.
show where
Yep.
people are there to drink. It's like a free. They're like, who the fuck is this guy on stage? And you deliver the best joke ever written, and they're just like,
Uh,
shut up, retard.
yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
it's it's nuts, man. But to me, that's part of what makes it so much fun, man. It
Mm.
really is. It's never not interesting. I
But
think
even with
even
even with those small shows, it's cool when you show up and you're like, this is gonna be a terrible vibe. Like I can
yeah,
tell this is
it's
not good.
great.
And then you get on stage and you're like, holy crap, this audience is really digging this. This is
Uh-huh.
fucking amazing.
Yeah, there's times where even recently, last week I did a show and I showed up to the venue. It was a 10 o'clock Sunday show, so you expect it to be a light crowd. Then I got there and I think there was like maybe 12 people, and they weren't really giving the first few comics anything. And I texted my wife. I was like, I can't wait to get home. This is going to be dog shit. And it was totally fun. It's like learning different things. Like I knew in hindsight that if I went up and just did my act, it would have been dog shit. But in a situation like that, they needed to be engaged with. And once they were engaged with, they were fun. And the show ended up being a ton of fun. And I got something out of it. Whereas going into it, I didn't think that was going to be possible.
Yeah, I had a pretty wild experience like a couple weeks ago. I went up to this comedy club in Birmingham, Alabama called the Star Dome. And it's kind of like an urban club. Um, and I was the first comic on like this panel style show. It's kind of like Kill Tony, but they give you 3 minutes.
Okay.
Um, but as soon as I went out, my first 30 seconds of my set, I was wearing an Auburn Tigers like polo shirt. And as soon as I grabbed the mic, I was like, what's up, everybody? How we doing? It was literally 30 seconds of the crowd yelling War Eagle and Roll Tide. It just like divided the room. And I just kind of like let them yell. And I was like, all right, we got a lot of college football fans in the crowd, and just kind of like let them get their energy out. And then I brought them into my college football joke, and it worked amazingly. And I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, I let them get their energy out, and then they were on board.
Dude, that's the shit that makes it fun, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's never not going to be fun like for shit like that.
Yeah. Wild
Dude,
experiences.
dude, I want to ask you because I'm really interested to find this out with every guest I have. But what is something that you're grateful for right now?
It's kind of hard to narrow. I feel like I really am blessed. I got a lot to be grateful for, which is a good thing. So I'm just blessed to really. I gotta say I gotta give credit to my wife. She's studying right now. She's an electrical engineer. She's studying to get her professional engineering exam. She's been working like 60-hour weeks and then studying on top of that. She's been just killing it. She's working harder than I would ever put work into like my professional life, because I work like 45 hours at the most a week. But she's been really fucking killing it. She's an amazing, brilliant person. And she's since I've started comedy, she's never said like, hey, can you stay home tonight? Like, if I tell her, hey, I'm going out 4 times this week or 5 times this week, every night in a row, she doesn't question it. So I've just married my best friend, who's an amazing person, and
Dude,
I'm really grateful for her.
that's awesome to hear, man. That shit makes all the difference, man. It's,
Mm,
and it's, I don't know that like, I don't know. I don't know that like, it's hard. It's probably almost impossible for somebody to understand the impact that has on people like you and like me.
mm,
But it's to me that there's no greater quality that you could find in somebody, as a spouse, than somebody who's going to be so supportive, and especially supportive in ways where they're just not, there's explicit support, but then there's the kind of support where it's like they're not breaking your balls over shit because they know it's important to you, man.
and you got a ride or die too. Also,
Yeah,
that
man.
your Gish episode with your wife was amazing. Because also it seemed like in the book, I love the audiobook version of your book, because it's almost like a podcast basically.
Mhm.
But there's people like, I think it was Wood, who was like, he was like, you were on perks during that? Like, they didn't know like some of these
Mhm.
conversations. Just like, oh man, I didn't even know this. But like my wife was there with me when like I mean, she's been there when I was just in the fucking dumps. And
Mhm.
just having someone that's just ride or die with you is just amazing. So,
Mhm.
we've been very blessed to have a lot of good success financially. And I mean, when we started dating, we were in a little condo, like smaller than my garage right now.
Mhm.
And we're in a fucking beautiful house now. And we just really came up together, and that is an amazing thing to experience.
It is, man. I think it's hard to see too when you're younger. I don't know what my idea, like I was just very idealistic when I was younger without recognizing how much like sacrifice would go into not only, you know, getting things out of life, but also just maintaining a relationship and like really it truly is a fucking give and take to make any kind of relationship work over time. And when you think about like all the fucking different things that happen, all the sacrifices you had to make, um, it's nuts to think like how far you've come. And
Yeah.
not just to have the physical things, but just to be able to see like other people like grow through those things. And, you know, I feel like, that without my wife, like I would have never been able to enjoy life the way that I enjoy it right now. I would probably be dead because, she really was, she was my biggest critic and justifiably so, but also my biggest motivation for moving forward. And I think a lot of times they'll see things in you that you might not be able to see in yourself, which is enough to keep going at various points in time.
Yeah. And I feel like a good wife is, especially for like crazy guys like us that are into martial arts and stand-up comedy, we're kind of like unstable elements that
Mhm.
like if my wife wasn't around, I would probably be fucking blackout drunk in a ditch somewhere. So it's like it's good to have just like a calming presence in your life that like keeps me stable. So it's like I can go out and party a little bit here and there, go do comedy shows, blah blah blah. But I still come back and then it's just like reset, and then just like on the weekend we have those peaceful days together. Just sitting.
Mhm.
Our cats are fucking walking around and
Yeah,
just fucking peaceful. It's just not just fucking mixed martial arts and drugs and craziness all the time.
dude. I'm with it. There's a this book that I've been reading back there. It's a business book, and the guy's just talking about. There's one section that's talking about get going into business, picking a business partner, and when you're young, and if you're going into some business venture, you're going to be inclined to pick like a buddy that you just get along with. And in the chapter, he talks about how it's like you just have to pick. You should really, in any kind of relationship, whether it's business or like a romantic relationship, you have to get somebody who's going to pick you up where you're deficient, and you're going to do the
100%.
same for them. And I feel like that's been why I think one of the keys, like why I'm still in a relationship, fucking 25 years after we met, and also why things are very healthy right now is because she's that same way where it's just like always very chill and just level headed, whereas like I'm the fucking one who chimps out, you know, when fucking seas get tumultuous. And I know that I'm gonna persevere regardless, but at the same time, I do need to hear that perspective because there was something recently where I misinterpreted a text that a friend had sent me, and I showed it to my wife before I responded hastily, and I'm glad I did because she's like, "Oh no, they're communicating with you," because I just asked this person to communicate with me more because there was something relative to money where I was just like, dude, if I send you something relative to what we're doing, you have to fucking respond. Like, I'm
Mm,
not trying to be a dad here, but like you gotta fucking communicate better.
mm.
And I didn't get a direct response to that, but this guy sent me a response to another thing that we were doing. And my inclination was to freak the fuck out because I didn't get a response to that. But my wife's like, well, no, he's communicating. It might not just be in the way that you want it, but I think you have to view this as progress. So I just chilled on that. And I'm glad I did because historically I've been a bridge burner, and I'm too old to be doing that shit now. Like
Mm.
if I need to nip something in the bud, there's a healthy way to do it and a very unhealthy way to do it. And my wife has been vital in helping me recognize like much healthier ways to kind of throw in the towel when it's needed.
That's a tough thing too when you have people in your life that like there's a lot of people in their life that get affected by. I mean, you are affected by the people that you spend time with and who you communicate 100%
Hmm.
with. So if you want to get into like a partnership or a friendship with somebody, they're going to rub off on you. So you have to really be careful with who
Yeah,
you're mixing with.
yeah, man. It took me a few years to recognize that because I just I don't know. Even something as stupid as like podcasting. It's like I said, like I've worked for a living. Like this should all be fun. And the second it becomes complicated, it's insane to me that anybody could choose to complicate that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that kind of partnership thing really took me a long time to recognize that like, okay, there's got to be certain elements where people that or certain characteristics that the people that you're going to choose to do shit with creatively possess, or otherwise, the wheels are going to fucking fall off pretty quickly, and a lot of unnecessary resentment's going to build.
Yeah, that's always a good thing about having an awesome wife. Also, is like you have outside counsel when like you just like let me run this by you and see what you think about this, and then they kind of give you a third person perspective, and you're like, all right, I didn't really think about it like that, and that makes sense. So,
Yeah, dude. I feel spoiled because I have two good people in my life that provide that for me. My wife Jamie's one, and Butterly's the other guy. I know that if I go to either one of them, I'm gonna get an impartial take on whatever the specific thing is.
mm.
I there's I despise yes people, and I'd rather somebody tell me that they fucking hate me rather than just say like, "Oh, you're the man," and then it's like you find out it's like, "Oh no, they secretly hate me." It's like just fucking tell me you hate me.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that is your job as a friend. If someone comes to you, be like, yeah, dude, this guy was like, blah blah blah, and if it seems just like a normal thing. Just like, oh no, man, maybe he didn't mean. You're supposed to like diffuse the situation. Just be like, dude, that's fucked up. You should fight him on site next time. Just instigate, just like make it worse. Just like maybe he didn't mean it like that. Maybe he was coming off a certain way. Just be like, no, dude, you need to punch him square in the face.
Yeah, dude, I feel spoiled, man, and I'm just lucky. I feel lucky in so many different regards, man, and it's you know, above all else, I feel lucky that I get to do this stuff, man. Dude, I've really enjoyed talking with you, Scott. You are the fucking man. Do you think you're going to
Dude,
be coming back to Austin anytime soon?
um, um, 100%. Yeah, I fucking loved Austin, and I need to get out there for more than just a day. Yeah, I'll definitely be out there soon. And if you're ever in Atlanta, like I'll come. Me and my buddies will come watch your show and heal
Oh,
you.
I can't wait to meet you, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, when you come down to Austin, when I send you the files from Zoom after we're done recording, I'll email you. I'll email them to you, and then I'll send you my number too. Hit me up anytime, and especially when you come to Austin. Uh, if I got any shows, you're welcome to come do a spot on them, and at the very least, like we can go get tacos somewhere.
dude, hell yeah! Thank you so much, man. This is an awesome experience. I really
I love
appreciate.
talking with you. I
Yeah,
really
it's
enjoyed
awesome,
talking with
man.
you, dude. Hey,
You're the fucking
continued
man, dude.
success in all you do, brother, and dude, keep in touch with me.
Awesome, 100%, man.
All right, enjoy your weekend, Scott.
You too, bro. Good seeing you.
Later, bro.